What's up, guys and girls? Today I'm going to be doing some stuff in the practice tool. I'm basically going to give you a rundown on how I play my support shaco and some tips and tricks on effective ways to use shaco. Um, so, obviously, I'm in the practice tool, so I'm not going to buy my typical support items and stuff. I'll be going bottom as per usual. I'm against an anti-bot in the intermediate. In fact, actually, I'm gonna go to level 6 real quick here. So, as you're leveling as support shaco, you can level your W, which is your Jack in Box, or your E first. My personal opinion is that the E max is better than the W max while in lane. And there's a couple reasons why. Your E is going to be your major source of damage for harass in lane, right? So it's important to have it at a higher level. Now, there is a caveat to this, right? So E works good against non-engage bottom lanes. So Annie and Jin, Lux and Jin, anybody who's got poke, you're maxing your E first, right? And the reason why is because it increases the total amount of damage it'll do, right? So, if, say, you're against a Leona, a Rel, whoever that might be, those are times that you're going to level your W first. And the reason why you'd level your W first is because for every level that your W has, it increases the fear duration. And when somebody engages on you, the longer they're feared, the better it is, right? So it becomes important then. Now, that's pretty much all you really need to know as far as what to level first. If you're in the jungle, however, leveling your Q first is the most important. Because the longer you have while invisible, the easier it is for you to engage on people without them knowing. And understand something that your Q is not revealed by pink wards. Not at all. Any champion that has actual invisibility, so Kha'Zix and shaco, neither of them are revealed by pink wards while they're invisible. Champions that do get revealed by pink wards, Evelynn, Twitch, and any other stealth type champion who has stealth. Obviously, Akali is not revealed by pink wards either. So keep that in mind when you play shaco or you're playing against shaco. Pink wards will not save you from shaco's deceive, like at all. So one thing I'm going to show you here real quick is how to dodge an ability. No, I didn't do that. So one thing to note when you're playing shaco is that there's a couple ways that you can get around certain things, right? Let's just auto refresh. There. Because realistically, I'm not trying to play the game. So one thing that you can do, for example, and I'll test this and show you on the tower here real quick, is you can actually dodge abilities with your R. If you saw there, I didn't take any damage from the tower. Here, we'll get done auto-refreshing the HP so you can see it again. If you do it right before it would land on you, you'll dodge it. Right? And it goes for anything. Alright? Anything. Including Jinx's ultimate, Ashe's ult, Draven ult, Karthus ult, anything that's targetable, Warwick ults, Malzahar ults. Malzahar ults are extremely difficult to dodge because it's point and click, and you have to basically like gauge it on, you know, when you think they're going to cast it, which is obviously a much more difficult task than, you know, dodging a Warwick ultimate or an Annie ult or Karthus or any of those other abilities. So another trick I want to show you here with the clone, go ahead and do it here, is if you walk your clone away, you'll start to see this little yellow-ish line. Once you cross that, your clone will come back to you. Now you can use this in a couple different ways. Alright? Let me show you how sometimes you can use it. So we'll walk my clone away. Right? You get him just to the edge there. And now we'll do this. We'll run up. Boom, there's my clone. And boom. So that's one way you can use it. The other way you can use it in that same fashion, which takes a little bit more timing, is to wait for it to almost expire. Yeah, well, whatever. So the other way to use it, and this takes obviously a little more practice and stuff, is to wait for it to almost expire, and then you jump to the end of the range of it, and it immediately teleports to you and explodes, right? It's one way to help chase people down and stuff. Another note with Shaco Clone is that when you're in your queue, for example, when you're invisible, when you clone, you're still invisible. Okay? So sometimes you can, you know, fake out people, so to speak, right? I just want to try this shit real quick, since it's on there. Jesus, how many of these can I have? Apparently have all of them. But yeah, so basically, it's one way to fake people out, because if you jump in with your Q and immediately ultimate on top of them, they'll think that the clone is the one that's coming out of stealth, because there's no difference between the two, right? In the sense that, like, they're gonna know the difference between them, right? They don't see the animation for the ultimate, anything like that. So it comes out and it looks like you just came out of stealth. And sometimes that'll give you just the little bit of time you need for them to, for example, against Lux or Annie, right? It gives you just the second you might need that they might ult you, bind you, or anything like that. The main thing is you got to make sure that you're out of the way so that you don't take any of the actual CC or damage in itself, right? And it's just one of those things that as you're playing Shaco, you got to work on. Because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, Shaco is super easy champ to play and support, blah, 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 blah. I hear this all the time, how people think Shaco's a really easy champion. Sure, he might be easy in the fact that you're able to get away like 95% of the time if you know what you're doing. But I wouldn't say he's easy in the sense of, like, say how Twisted Fate is easy, right? Like, Twisted Fate is proverbially one of the highest skill cap champions in the game. Now, he doesn't have a lot of, like, stuff to his kit, right? So you would think that he wouldn't be that difficult. But it's not just that he's doesn't have a lot of stuff to his kit. It's that the way that the kit needs to be used to be effective is what makes him difficult. There's a lot of timing involved. There's a lot of making sure that your abilities are up when they need to be, and shit like that. And without understanding your cooldowns, you wind up in positions where you can't actually be effective. And that's why Twisted Fate is one of the higher skill cap champions. It requires a lot of game knowledge to be effective with him, and it requires a lot of know-how with Twisted Fate and his cooldowns to know approximately how long you have when using your abilities. That's the most absurd shit ever, dropping all of those. So, just like Twisted Fate, shaco is very much similar to Twisted Fate in that regards, right? You've got a pretty straightforward kit, right? With some invisibility and stuff like that. But there's a lot of nuance to playing shaco. And that's where a lot of newer shacos don't understand that, hey, if I'm going to play this champ, I have to at least understand how the champ will work. Now, there's some common misconceptions here. A lot of people say that AD shaco support is a viable option. I'm not saying that it's not, right? But there comes a problem with that. AD shaco is only viable against soft or squishy targets, all right? And what that means is like, let's say it's a Lux and a Jinx, or a Lux and a... see, right there, I dodged 2 abilities with my ult. Or, say, you know, anybody who's squishy. AD shaco can work. However, AD shaco does not work against champion compositions like Leona, Rel, that kind of stuff. People who can CC you or anything like that, right? Any tanks, anybody who's got a large amount of CC that's like point and click or is easy to land, so like Leona, Taric, those kinds of things are not champions you're going to play AD shaco against as support. Main reason why is because shaco is squishy, and AD shaco is still pretty squishy, right? In the same way that AP shaco is really squishy. So if you get CC'd, just like Master Yi, you will die. Because your kit is totally reliant upon not taking damage. See? Like right there. Ultimate out of my fucking... ulted away from Annie's Q, right? So the whole premise of the reason why I play AP shaco is that with AP shaco, you have a lot of zone control, in the same way that Heimerdinger has a lot of zone control, right? So one way that I like to set up when I'm in lane with my ADC is like this. I like to draw the minions through, avoid them, right? And then I'm looking for the opportunity for the ADC or the support to come over and hit one of these traps. And when they do, that's when you go boop and drop another trap in behind them, right? A lot of the times it won't work, mainly because once they hit a trap, they'll back away from it, obviously, for obvious reasons. But a lot of the times, especially in the lower elos, like I'm playing currently to go to Platinum, is that you'll run into people who don't understand how to play against shaco. And they'll stand there and auto-attack within range of the boxes, right? It happens a lot with melee supports. So, like Leona, Tarek, that kind of stuff, right? They'll walk right into the fucking box and just start autoing it. Take a third of their health or a fourth of their health and damage, and then fucking die, right? So, the main thing to understand is that understanding that in its entirety is one of the most important things. Because as you're playing through as shaco support, you don't do an exceptional amount of damage. Realistically, the support shaco is not a good support, right? It really requires both you and your laner to understand the fundamentals of shaco, because you can't peel for anybody, right? Like Leona can. You can't jump on top of somebody and get them off of your ADC without dying, right? You're not a tank. So, realistically, what you have to do is ensure that you're setting up your boxes in such a way that it allows for you to have the advantage, right? So, as an example, we'll set our boxes here, here, and there. Now, what the premise for me is going to be, let's say we're laning here, and the enemy's right here, and they're getting close to one of these boxes, right? I'm going to move over here and try and get one of them to walk over into one of the boxes. Main reason why is because I want to do some fucking damage to him. Like this Annie, see? She'll walk right into the box. And this is indicative of players, too. Like, players will do this shit all the time. Right? And you just have to lure them. That's the big thing here, is luring people into your traps. You can't just drop traps on top of people and say, oh, look at this, I'm gonna fucking kill so-and-so. That's not how shaco works, right? You have to have your zone control, right? And this is another setup that I like doing. One reason why I like doing this is as the wave pushes and the enemy pushes in, we've got the two boxes on either side here, right? So if they walk to either side of the minion wave, they'll hit those boxes, take free damage. And then we've got this box here that will stop the wave, right? And the reason why we want to stop the wave is because if we're not in lane, we don't want the wave to be pushing towards us in the instance of like them shoving it in under tower. And this gives us just a little bit of extra time, right, to make sure that they don't shove the shove the wave under tower. So it's just one of those things when you're playing shaco, it's important to realize that those are the advantages of shaco. And you have to play to the advantage of shaco. Because if you don't, you wind up in a position where you're not going to do a lot of damage. You're not going to really win much of the matchup. And you'll wind up in a position where shaco is not very effective. And this is something I see a lot with support shacos. They don't play shaco in an appropriate way. What they'll do is they'll run in, go, oh, I gotcha, bang, bang, auto attack, and then fucking 2-shiv poison, right? There's nothing wrong with that at all. But the problem is you do not do a lot of burst damage, right? You are completely, as AP shaco, you are completely reliant upon your abilities. And only three of those abilities have AP ratios, right? So, with that knowledge in tow, you're not like a Kali. You're not like Zed. You're not like any of the burst type champions. You are shaco, and your damage is really low early game. So the biggest thing you need to do as shaco is to make sure that whenever you're engaging on people that you already have something set up to fall back on. So, one example of this would be, put a box here. Let's say one of these minions is Annie. What you can do is jump in, E, and then walk right back out. E immediately pulls you out of stealth. Your Q, or your W, does not. So you can drop a box while you're in stealth, and it does not pull you out of stealth. So generally what you want to do, especially if you have the advantage in lane, so like let's say they're pushed really heavy. Let me go down here. We'll use this as an example down here. We'll put a dummy out, spawn an enemy dummy. Alright, so they're pushing up in lane. You're like, okay, there they are. Here's how you do this. So you'll go in, right? Your ADC's over here somewhere. You're like, okay, here we go. You think they're going to move back, you drop that box behind them, right? As soon as you drop that box behind them, they're going to probably run forward, more than likely if they've seen it, right? Now, you jump in, drop that box, start an auto, immediately follow it up with an E. E works kind of like an auto attack reset. So, we'll use it on Annie here, now that we've got this dummy and nothing's pushing. So here, I believe this Annie is probably going to run backwards the minute she sees me. So, drop my thing, drop that, hit my ward. Oh, I'm dead. Actually died to the intermediate Addy. So, but basically the way that works is you come in, you drop the box behind them in the hopes that they'll start to retreat, right? But you want to place it in such a way that it increases its value based upon where it's placed. If you place it over here, right, they can run out and around. If you place it here, right, like let's say Annie's right here, and you place it right here in the middle of the lane, she has to run to either side of it to avoid it, rather than in one direction, right? Giving her more opportunity for you to, like, collapse on her from behind, right? And mind you, as you're playing shaco, you always want to collapse from behind the enemy champion, right? So when you're coming out of stealth, you want to be behind the enemy already. And part of the reason why that is because you get backstab damage on all of your abilities from behind. Yeah. So when striking enemies that are facing away from him, shaco's attacks deal an additional 34 physical damage, and 2 shift poison deals an additional 53 magic damage. Right? So it does extra damage as you're behind somebody. So those are always important facets to keep in mind as you're playing shaco. Because without, that kind of knowledge, you won't do as much damage. On the reverse side, if you're playing against shaco, don't let him get behind you. That's literally it. Don't let him get behind you. He does more damage when he's behind you. And if you just let him do more damage from behind you, that's it. So, there's a couple other here. I'll show you this behind the person tactic again. See? I drop it. I go around. She tries to ulti me. And now she's dead. So it basically boils down to making sure that you have zone control, right? And whittling down your opponents. You're not gonna do a lot of burst damage until you start getting more items. Once you start getting more items, it starts to become a little belligerent. So hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of an idea of how to play shaco support. I always generally go for my build, I go Arcane Comet, the Mana Flow, Transcendence, and then Gathering Storm. And then I usually go into the Domination tree with either Sudden Impact or the one that gives you bonus damage on people who are CC'd or slowed, and then Ultimate Hunter. And the reason why I go Ultimate Hunter and into the Domination tree rather than the Inspiration tree is that I want to be able to have my ultimate available to me as much as possible. Because your ultimate is a major source of damage and a major way for you to be able to, like, avoid taking damage, to be able to do a lot of damage, all those kinds of things. But yeah, so that's basically it, and I'll give a more well-rounded and thought-out AP shaco support guide into the future. So hopefully this helps you guys, and hopefully you all have a great rest of your day. Talk to you later. Bye.